Hello, my class. All right, so this is the big shebang. This is the whole reason that we've been learning about place value and about rounding, and how to read the numbers and all of those things. It all comes down to this. This is why we wanted to teach you all of these things. Today we are going to be adding whole numbers, okay? When they say whole numbers, we are adding big numbers. We are not adding 2 plus 2. We are adding things like 570,374 plus 86,051. But I promise you, you can do it. If you've been watching all of our videos on how to do place value and how it all works, you will be able to do this, okay? So here's our essential question. How can you add whole numbers? Okay, what's the process? What do we do? All right, so let's unlock the problem. Let's take a look at the problem. It says to underline what you are asked to find and circle the information you will use. As always, I like to circle the numbers and then underline what it's asking you to do. Okay, so let's read. Alaska is the largest state in the United States by area. Its land area is 570,374 square miles. Okay, let me make my circle a bit better. Okay, and its water surface area is 86,051 square miles. And it says to find the total area of Alaska. Okay, find the total area of Alaska. This is a picture here, and the area of Alaska is outlined in the photo above. So they outlined it here. Okay, so the land is this many square miles, and the water is this many square miles, and we're finding the total, which means we're putting two things together, and if I'm putting them together, I am adding them together. So it says here to find the sum. The sum is the answer when you add, okay? So we are adding 570,374 plus 86,051, okay? So here is something that's very important, okay? It is important to line up the addends by place value when adding two numbers, okay? Addends are the two things you're adding together, okay? And when we line them up by place value, that means that I take the very end of each number and I line them up together, okay? Let me show you what you should not do, all right? I'll show you what you should not do. Okay, so I have 570,374, right? So let's say I'm writing this on a piece of paper. Now I need to add this number. I don't want to add it from the beginning here. I don't want to line up the 8 with the 5 because that would be incorrect. See, my commas aren't lining up and my numbers aren't in the right place. They have to be the right value. Okay, because this 8 is not in the hundred thousands place. It should be in the 10,000s place. And that completely matters. So we should not line it up this way. Do not line it up that way. We line it up by the right. So I put the very end of my number next to the very end of the other number. And I need them to line up so that I can see how they line up by place value. Okay, do you guys see how I'm doing this? My ones place are in the ones place. My tens are in the tens place. Hundreds place. Thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s. I need them to line up. It is very important that the ones place is matched with the ones place, okay? If you miss this step, you will miss the whole problem, okay? So, step number 1 to adding these together. I am going to add the ones, okay? So remember, this is the ones place, the tens place, the hundreds place. Then I go into the thousands, 1,000. 10,000, 100,000, okay? So I'm adding the ones place. 4 plus 1, okay? So 4 plus 1 is 5, okay? Next, I'm going to add the tens, okay? So now I'm doing 7 plus 5. And 7 plus 5 is 12. Okay, so now we've run into a problem because I cannot squish a 12 into the tens place like this. Okay, it's not going to work. What I have to do is I have to regroup this 1 because now that it's 12, this 1 isn't worth 1, it's worth 10. And if I have 10 of them, they have to go to the next column, which is why there's a 1 up there. So let me show you what to do. Okay, so let me bring these lines down a bit more. Okay, because I need to make sure that they all stay lined up. What I'm going to do is, because this is 12, I'll put the 2 in the tens place, and then the 1 that would normally go next to it, I'm going to put next door on top. This is called regrouping. Okay, so I put it next door on top. Okay, and what they want you to see here is that there's 12 tens, which means that there's now a 2 in the tens place, and I'm bringing that 1 over to the hundreds place. Okay, so let's keep going. They brought our 25 down for us that we had already put there. Okay, I'm going to bring these lines down again because I really want us to see that we're separating it by place value. Okay, so now we're going to add the hundreds place. I have a 1 that I'm adding to this 3, okay, plus 0. 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 0 is still 4. Okay, I don't have to regroup here because I don't have any extra. Now I have in the thousands place, I'm adding the thousands, 0 plus 6. Okay, 0 plus 6 is 6. Okay, we're going to keep going. They brought it down here for us. Okay. All right. Making the place value lines because it helps me think. Okay, so I just did the thousands place. 0 plus 6 is 6. And now I'm going to add the 10,000s place, which is 7 plus 8. 7 plus 8 is 15. Okay, I'm running into the same problem. I cannot squeeze a 15 into this place. The 5 I can put in here, but I need to regroup the 10. I need to regroup the 1 that's usually by the 5 and 15 and put it into the next column. See this little 1 we put up here? Okay. And so if I have 15 10,000s, then it's, I put the 1 over into the other column, so that's now a 100,000. And in the 10,000 column, I have a 5. So I have 5 10,000s. Okay. All right, they brought it back down for us again. I want to make sure that I have my place value lines, keeping it lined up. Okay, so I did 7 plus 8, and that's 15. So the 5 I put below, and I regroup the 1. And now I'm going to add these together. So I add the 1 to the 5, and I'm going to get 6. Okay, and we did it. The total area of Alaska is 656,425. Okay. So here's the trick, and this is why we have learned how to estimate. Okay, you can estimate to tell whether an answer is reasonable. So this is where you're going to round your numbers and add them together, and it's a quick way to say, oh, my answer should be about here. It's close to here, okay, to see if your answer is reasonable. All right, so to estimate a sum, So to estimate the things that you're adding together, you're going to round each addend before you add. So round the two things that you are adding together, okay? So here's the example. We're going to estimate, which means round, and then find the sum. Let's take a look at our question. Juneau has an area of 2,717 square miles, and Valdez has an area of 222 square miles, and they're asking what is their combined area. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to get an estimate. We don't want to know exactly how much, okay? We want to know it's close to this, okay? So what they did here was they rounded to the nearest thousand, okay, the one that's furthest to the left. And they want us to round here to the nearest hundred, the one that's furthest to the left. Okay, so they rounded 2,717 up to 3,000, okay, because the next door neighbor of the 2 here is a 7, and if it's 5 or more, I add 1 more. So 2 turned into 3, and the rest turned into zeros. Okay? So I need to do the same thing here. I'm rounding to the nearest 100 on this 2, and so I need to look at its next door neighbor, okay, which is a 2. And remember, 4 or less, let it rest. 5 or more, add 1 more. Okay, so the 2 is less than 4, which means that my number that's underlined is going to stay the same. Okay, so 4 or less, let it rest. Okay, so it stays the same. The rest of my numbers turn into zeros. So 222 is about 200, okay? And we are going to add it to the estimate of the first number. Remember, when I'm adding, I line it up all the way on the right, okay? So this is 0, I need to line up on the right in the ones place. This 0, I will line up in the tens place. And this 2, I will line up in the hundreds place. I need to make sure that I am lining up by place value. If I don't line up the ones with the ones and the tens with the tens, it won't come out right. Okay, so let's add the ones first. 0 plus 0 is 0. Now the tens. 0 plus 0 is 0. Now the hundreds. 0 plus 2 is 2. And now I'll add the thousands. 3 plus nothing is 3. Okay. So the reason that I rounded is because it is a lot easier to add 3,000 plus 200 than these two numbers. And I want to get an idea of where my number should be. So the answer when I add these two numbers should be around 3,200 miles. Should be close to that. Okay, so the combined area of Juneau and Valdez is about 3,200 square miles. Now we're actually going to add them together. We are going to add the exact numbers and see if our answer is close to 3,200. Now, they have an error alert because they want to remind you, you have to align the addends by place value. The two numbers you add together have to go together by place value. So I'm adding 222 to 2,717, okay? And I have to make sure that I'm lining it up. If I put my 222 over here, it's going to be incorrect because this 2 is worth 100. It's not worth 1,000. It shouldn't be in the thousands place, okay? If I were to just write my number anywhere, just put my numbers anywhere and not really pay attention, then I might accidentally add these two together and then add these two together and not even add the 7. So I need to line it up and make sure that it's exact, okay? So 2 is here in the ones place. I'm going to line it up in the ones place. And I'm even going to put these lines so I can keep track. This 2 is in the tens place. I'll put it in the tens place. I'm going to put a line here to make sure it's lined up. And this 2 is in the hundreds place. Good. I'm going to put a line here to make sure it's lined up. Okay. We'll start on the very right and add the ones. Okay. 7 plus 2 is 9. Then I'll add the tens. 1 plus 2 is 3. I'll add the hundreds. 7 plus 2 is 9. And then I will add the thousands. 2 plus nothing is 2. Okay. So the combined area of Juneau and Valdez is 2,939. And I'm going to check to see if my answer is reasonable. My answer should be close to 3,200. 2,939 is close to 3,000, which is close to 3,200. My answer is probably correct. Okay, so is the sum reasonable? And the answer is yes. The sum is reasonable because it's close to the answer I got was rounding. Okay, so that's why I rounded, put it together, because I'm trying to make sure that my answer is probably correct. And my answer is probably correct because it's close to my estimate. Okay, let's do a couple of problems, all right? So it says use the grid to find 738,901 plus 162,389. Okay, now I'm going to let you know right now, do this math on a separate sheet of paper, okay? You need to be able to write out your answers and write out when you're regrouping, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to line it up, all right? So first I'm just going to write out my first number here, okay? I'll choose a square to start in, make sure I give myself enough space. 7, 3, 8, comma, 9, 0, 1. All right, so now I have to take this second number and put it underneath this number and line it up by place value. Remember, to start with the ones column, I start all the way at the end of the number. So I'm going to start with this 9 and put it in the ones place. Then the 8 next to it in the tens place. The 3 in the hundreds place. The 2 in the thousands place. The 6 in the 10,000s place. And the 1 in the 100,000s place. Okay, I'm going to put a line beneath it. The line is, this is equals, and I'll put a plus sign. Okay, now they have these lines here because it's grid paper. Okay, so I'm not going to do my lines in between, but make sure that everything is lined up. When you put your answer below, make sure it's lined up with the place value, because otherwise it'll get confused. Okay, so we're starting here. 1 plus 9. Okay, 1 plus 9 is 10. Okay, remember, I can't put 2 digits down here. I can't put 10 in the ones place. Okay, what I got to do is put the 0 from the 10 down below, and then the 1 that I would have put next to it, I'll put in the next column over, up on top. Okay, and I'll add it in the next column. So here in the tens column, I have a 1 plus a 0 plus an 8. Okay? 1 plus 0 is 1. 1 plus 8 is 9. And I don't have to regroup because 9 is one digit. All right, now let's do the hundreds column. 9 plus 3. 9 plus 3 is 12. And again, I can't put a 12 in the same column. I'll put the 2 from the 12 down below, but the one that would have gone here, I'll carry over to the next column, and I'll put it up above. Okay? Now I have 1 plus 8, which is 9, and 9 plus 2, which is 11. Okay? 11 is also 2 digits. I can't put 2 digits down here. I can't put an 11. So I'll put the 1 over here, and the one that would have gone next to it, I'll put up top. Okay? Now I have 1 plus 3, which is 4, and 4 plus 6, which is 10. But again, I can't put 2 digits down below here. I can't put a 10. So I'll put the 0 from the 10, and the one that would have gone next to it, I'll put in the next column. Okay? 1 plus 7 is 8, plus 1 is 9. Okay, so now I have my answer. 901,290. And that is a lot of adding, and we did it. Go us. Okay, but you can see where there's a lot of places where you can get confused, you can get messed up, which is why it's so important to have those lines. Okay, so for the next 3 problems, they want us to estimate and then find the sum. So I have to make an estimate first. I have to round my numbers, and then I have to find the actual sum by adding it together. Okay, so I'll walk us through how to do that. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to write our estimate right next to it. Okay, so what we're going to do is look at the number that's farthest to the right. That will be our underlined number. Remember that we need to circle the next door neighbor. Okay, so I'm circling the 2 next to the 7, and I'm circling this 8 next to the 1, and this will help me to round. Okay, so here I have a 7, and its next door neighbor is a 2. 4 or less, let it rest. 5 or more, raise the score. 2 is less than 4, so I let it rest. The 7 will stay the same. Everything next to the 7 will turn into a 0. 0, 0, 0, 0. 4 zeros. 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay. Now I am going to add the next estimate, okay, which I'm going to take a look at this 1. That's the one that's underlined. Its next door neighbor is an 8. 4 or less, let it rest. 5 or more, add 1 more. 8 is more than 5, so I need to add 1 more to my 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay, and then the rest of my numbers turn into zeros. 0, 0, 0, 0. 4 zeros. 0, 0, 0, 0. Now if you notice over here, I have lined them up by place value. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. They line up at the right. Okay, so let's add this together. 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 0 is 0. Do you see how easy this is when we estimate? 0 plus 0 is 0. And 7 plus 2 is 9. So that's my estimate, what I'm going to write up here. Okay, my answer should be about 90,000. It should be close to 90,000. Okay, let's see if it is. Now I'm going to actually add it together. Okay, on your piece of paper, you should rewrite this number, and I would put lines in between to make sure that you've lined them up correctly. The 1 should be on top of the 3 on top of the 6, the 9 on top of the 5, the 2 on top of the 8, the 7 on top of the 1. Okay, and I'm making these lines go down so that my answer stays in the right column, okay? All right, so we're starting on the right with the ones column. 1 plus 3 is 4. Okay, 3 plus 6 is 9. 9 plus 5 is 14. Remember, I can't put two digits in the same. So I put the 4 down below, and the 1 that would have gone next to it, I put on top in the next column. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 8 is 11. Remember, I can't put two digits in the same column, so I'll put the 1 down below, and the one that would have gone next to it, I put in the next column. 1 plus 7 is 8, plus 1 is 9. Now, it's kind of hard to see this number here, so I'm going to rewrite it down below. Okay, so we have 91,494 is our answer. And then I ask myself, is 91,494 close to 90,000? And it is. So my estimate shows me that my answer is probably correct. Now, if I had an answer like 128,677, I know that something was wrong because it's not close to my estimate. I went too far. Something went wrong in my adding, and I should go back and check it again. Okay, if my answer is 67, that's nowhere near 90,000. So something went wrong with my adding, and I have to go back and check it. But because my answer is close to my estimate, I know that it's probably right, and I don't have to go back and check it. Okay, so for your homework, you need to do this for every single one. You need to make an estimate by rounding and then actually add it together. Make sure to line it up by place value and have your answer. And I'm even going to ask you guys using the shapes. I clicked shapes and then square. Put a square around your answer so that I can find it easy. Okay, that'll help me be able to find your answer. All right. So you will do numbers 5 through 10 for your homework for on your own. Okay, numbers 5 through 10. All right, happy adding.